Okay, let's talk about something that I know sounds almost too good to be true. How your city can make a huge leap forward in modernizing its energy infrastructure without ever touching your capital budget. It really comes down to this one question, doesn't it? For every city manager, for every council member out there, can you actually overhaul your most critical facilities and lock in energy savings for decades to come with, literally, a $0 impact on the budget? Well, the answer is a resounding yes, and we're going to show you how.
But first, before we get to the solution, we have to be really honest about the problem. And for pretty much every municipality today, it's a tough one. It's this impossible balancing act that I know so many of you are trying to navigate every single day.
We call this the fiscal pincer, and it probably looks very familiar. On one side, you've got your aging infrastructure. The water treatment plants, the schools, the community centers, all of them are just eating energy and crying out for an upgrade. And on the other side, well, you've got shrinking budgets and 100 other priorities all fighting for the same dollars. It makes a big forward-thinking energy project feel completely impossible.
But what if that whole way of thinking was just outdated? The game has completely changed. We've moved from seeing these as massive capital-heavy projects to a totally new reality, one that's OpEx neutral. And what that means is simple. The project actually pays for itself with the energy it saves, so there's zero negative impact on your annual operating budget.
And look, this isn't some pie-in-the-sky theory. It's already happening right now. Just look at the projects at Fox River Water Reclamation and Fox Metro. These aren't just test cases. These are real cities, right now, modernizing their facilities, protecting their general fund from crazy energy price swings, all without having to write a huge check up front.
So you're probably asking, how did they pull it off? Well, it all comes down to a new playbook for municipal energy. There are actually 3 distinct, proven ways to get this done, with, you guessed it, no budget.
Think of it like this. It's the no-budget trinity. First up, you've got the Sourcewell model. Here, you pay absolutely nothing up front. You just agree to a locked-in, stable rate for your power. Boom, instant predictability. Second, there's the utility-sponsored path. This is for cities that really want to own the asset. You get 100% of the project funded, and then incentives come in and offset the cost. And third, there's the Frontline Advantage program, which cleverly uses covered resources to create savings for you from day one. See? 3 different paths, all leading to the same great destination, a modern facility with no capital hit.
It's really that simple. These aren't theoretical ideas. They are vetted, available options on the table right now. They completely remove that massive financial roadblock that kills so many important projects before they even get off the ground.
But you know what? The benefits here go way beyond just the money. Think about one of the biggest hidden costs of any city project: the time, the paperwork, the bureaucracy. This new model helps you slice right through all that red tape.
And here's the secret sauce, an organization called Sourcewell. It's a government purchasing cooperative, and what they do is fantastic. They've already done all the heavy lifting, the competitive bidding, the legal reviews, all the stuff your staff would normally spend months, if not years on. So by working with a provider they've already approved, you get to legally and painlessly skip that whole RFP marathon. It's a huge time saver.
All right, so the project costs nothing up front and it saves you all those administrative headaches. But what about the long game? Because this is really about giving your taxpayers fiscal predictability and security, not just for next year's budget, but for the next generation.
This is where you can really have confidence. We're talking about 30-year production guarantees. Think about that. That's a 3-decade promise, and it's backed by the absolute highest quality industrial-grade equipment on the market.
Now you hear Tier 1 and you think, okay, that means good parts. And it does, but it's so much more than that. It's actually a bankability rating. It's a measure of the manufacturer's financial health. It's the assurance that the company that built your equipment is going to be around in 20, 25, 30 years to stand by its warranty. It basically takes all the long-term risk off the table. So here's the bottom line. We are talking about locking in 30 years of stable, predictable utility costs for your taxpayers. In a world where energy markets are all over the place, this gives your city a level of financial certainty that is just incredibly rare and incredibly valuable.
Now, this all sounds pretty amazing, right? But it brings us to a really critical point. While it costs you nothing to just explore these options, doing nothing? Well, that's not a neutral choice anymore. In today's world, inaction is an active financial decision, and it has a real cost.
And I want to be crystal clear here. This is not some sales pitch. This isn't marketing talk designed to create a false sense of urgency. It is simply the economic and policy reality of the moment. The window of opportunity to do this so easily is real, and believe me, it is closing.
And here's why. Right now, today, we are at a peak moment for incentives from both federal and state programs. But these programs have scheduled step-downs built right into them. That means the exact same project with the same equipment is going to be significantly more expensive to do 18 months from now simply because those incentives will be smaller.
And it isn't just one thing either. It's a perfect storm of factors. You've got those scheduled step-downs in the state programs, you've got potential changes to federal tax credits, you have volatile material costs, and of course the constant changes in utility rates. Waiting just exposes your city to all of that risk instead of locking in the great terms available today. The only prudent financial move is to investigate this now.
So when you really step back and look at it, the technology is de-risked, the financing is de-risked. At this point, the only real, tangible risk your city is facing is the cost of doing nothing. It's the cost of just continuing to pay those high, volatile utility bills while this incredible financial window slowly shuts.
Which really brings us to the final, very simple question. For any city council, for any public works director, this is just basic due diligence. If you have an opportunity to secure 3 decades of guaranteed, predictable power for your community with no hit to your capital budget, why wouldn't you at least take a look at the numbers? The next step, the responsible step, seems pretty clear.